Interview with one of the most intriguing men in this country, John F. Kennedy Jr., just ahead on Larry King Live.
Now, live from Washington, here's Larry King.
There's probably more interest in this gentleman than in any other person in this country, and probably with good thinking. John F. Kennedy Jr., he is the mastermind, he and his co-founder and executive publisher, Michael J. Berman, of this extraordinary magazine, George, which is a hoot of a magazine. I thought you were a lawyer.
I was.
What happened?
Well, we decided, actually taking a cue from folks like yourself and you around the 1992 election, that there was an opportunity here to change the definition of a political magazine. Certainly the way Americans were accessing information about politics and politicians was changing. Candidates were appearing on late-night talk shows, on talk radio, on sitcoms, and there was a kind of a leveling process. And while the rest of media clearly had caught up with that, we felt that political magazines per se hadn't. And so while you had all this interest on it that you could really could point to with statistics and facts, we thought, well, here's an opportunity to do a different kind of political magazine.
Didn't you want to be a lawyer?
I was a lawyer for 7 years. Well, yeah, 3 in law school and 4 in the DA's office.
You were a DA. By the way, how did the DA do in the Simpson trial, do you think, in this wind-up?
I think the DA did very well.
Darden and Marcia?
I think so. It's obviously a case, enormous scrutiny and a huge challenge, but I think that they did very well.
And Cochran, impressive?
Absolutely, from day one.
Okay, would he be a tough adversary if you were back in the old? I'm glad you're not, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, you're a prosecutor. You're on your way. Legal runs through your whole family. Uncle Attorney General, your father a lawyer, other uncle a lawyer. Why magazine?
Well, one of the things that you sort of have to understand about this enterprise is that the opportunity to do an entrepreneurial venture, to really start to take a big risk, and to have an idea and see it through and develop it and nurture it. And as we went along, there were plenty of opportunities where we could have said, well, this idea isn't going to work. But what kept happening was that we would get feedback, or when we tested it, we would get a certain response through the direct mail which said, wow, there's something here.
But in you, there was always this editor-writer wannabe? I'm
not sure, no. No, and I think that, Michael and I kind of came, I think really what happened was there was a synergy. He came at it from a really marketing point of view and said, there is an unfilled marketing niche here. And I had come from my family. We had always been grew up around politics, that it was a fascinating way to spend one's career. And I had been always kind of interested in how you could get that idea out to more people, because as I grew older, it became clear that not that many people shared that view.
It was also a family that liked the press, generally, commiserated with the press,
yeah,
enjoyed
I think the generation
the give and take.
before me, more so.
But are you now, this is it? This is going to be your life, editing, publishing, magazines, writing, is that it?
Well, starting a magazine is a huge enterprise. We were 2 years in starting this, and we started it ourselves. And now that Hachette is our partners in it, there is a considerable investment. We have a staff. So this is a big enterprise, and it's enormously exciting for both of us. So this is what we're doing,
For the time being, or you want to stay with it?
Well, I would hate to say I'm going to do anything till I'm 70, but I'm going to be doing this for the foreseeable future.
Who named it?
We both did. One of the challenges for us was how you come up with a magazine about politics that somehow gets around the word politics, because there is this reflexive response, I think, when people hear the word politics. They have a judgment about it and they say, well, that's not for me, or that's that kind of magazine. And what we're really very interested in is trying to include a different group of people to buy this.
But it implies, by its title, the cover using that beautiful girl with dressed as George Washington, Cindy, it implies that it's mostly humor. And while there's a lot of humor, it is also very well written and edited.
Well, thank you.
But this looks like this is going to be parody.
Well, maybe, but it's not intended. I mean, one of the things about George Washington as an American icon is that he is both a very serious historical figure as well as somewhat a subject of parody. And what we wanted to do was make it accessible and make it familiar and create an identity, an independent identity for this magazine, and to suggest that there was something different going on here. And I think the name it's the first thing that you see, and I think the name does it.
Press reaction generally been pretty good. Some critics, some didn't like the idea of doing this on the cover. Did you have any second thoughts about that?
Well, we always felt, and when Michael and I were talking, that if you're going to do a magazine about the intersection of politics and popular culture, you might as well come out and do it, and not mess around and say you're doing one thing, but yet try to be serious. And we said, well, listen, this is what we're about, so we're not going to leave any doubt what we're about.
Okay, and in it, you talked to George Wallace, a very good interview, by the way.
Thank you.
But you also have President Madonna.
Yes.
Who came up with that idea?
Well,
you did.
The last page of it.
You did.
Sure.
Okay. The idea being?
Well, the idea being is that on the last page of the magazine, it's called If I Were President. And everyone always says, if I were president, this is what I would do. And we would like people from a variety of fields, from business, from entertainment, from law, from you name it, to write that what would they do if they had the big job.
So this last page is going to be reserved for someone, celebrity type.
Celebrity type, or someone that people would want to hear from.
And what they would do with president.
What they would do if they were president.
Will we? Or do we set a concept here? Will the feature on Louis Freeh of the FBI? Very well done. Will there always be some kind of profile like that?
Well, I think you have to do a political magazine. You have to have it's a clumsy word, but an impactful person, someone who, and we felt for this one that Louis Freeh was a fascinating person. He's from New York. So I was familiar with him when he was a judge, and he's head of the FBI, which is going through enormous changes right now. It's this sort of pristine American governing institution. I mean, they've had some difficulties lately, certainly with Ruby Ridge, but he hadn't been done much, and it was fascinating for us to do that.
Are we always going to have a Q&A?
By me or by
is there going to be a standard Q&A?
Yeah.
Are you going to do most of them?
I'll do them for a while, and we sort of hadn't made a policy, but I mean, I'm part of this magazine. I've sold it certainly as coming from Michael and I, and so I'm comfortable being out front with it and doing that. Unless
George
they get
Wallace,
deadly boring.
George Wallace, an intriguing choice. Who's second?
Who's second?
Who's
well, next? You'll have to read the next.
You come
one.
out every 2 months, right?
Coming out every
so
2
then
months.
you've probably done the second one already.
We haven't actually. We're kind of a bubblegum and shoestring operation.
You haven't done the second. I thought it's all laid out months ahead.
Well, not the. This is a startup. We got a group of people that drink a lot of coffee, and we'll have it out on time. Though.
Will there be Kennedy critiques?
I mean, I think that it's certainly a reasonable question. If you're going to write about politics, every now and then there's going to be a Kennedy who's going to be
somewhere
you should write about it. So I think there should be. We're not going to go out of our way. Certainly there's enough people that write about the Kennedys without us joining in.
We'll be right back with John F. Kennedy Jr. Magazine George is now everywhere, and it's really fun and delight and very informative. We'll come back with more. We'll be including your phone calls. The court is done for the night. They resume 9 o'clock tomorrow morning Eastern. However, Jim Moret will follow this program with an update and a full special on what happened today. Secretary of State Jim Baker tomorrow night. We'll be right back. We're back on Larry King Live with John F. Kennedy Jr. You think you got all these ads, which I think is a record, ads for the first publication, because of who you are?
No, we have an incredible publisher who can sell an ad like nobody's business.
Boy, can he sell ads. But don't you think it had a lot to do with I Want to Be in John F. Kennedy Jr.'s inaugural magazine?
Certainly. I mean, I understand that that's a big part of the interest in this magazine. But I also think that they're very smart people. They have a lot of ad opportunities to put their ads in places. And 3 or 4 issues down the line, they're going to worry about, is this a good magazine? Does this serve an interest group that I want to reach? So hopefully I'll fade into the background.
How's it selling?
It's selling very well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of subscription authors, too?
Oh, it's a little early to tell because they get sent in and
But the newsstand...
The newsstand's moving
Washington,
quite well.
You can't find it.
Really? I would have thought there would be plenty of copies still here.
There's so many people with so much interest in you, and I don't want to delve into the macabre interest, but the serious interest. Is it tough being a junior?
I mean, sure, I wouldn't know, I don't have a basis of comparison.
I mean, are there ever days you say, I wish my name were David?
No, I'm pretty happy with what it is. I mean, if you're asking if it's hard being me, it's...
Well, it's brought you a unique life.
Yeah, absolutely, and great opportunities and some challenges. But all in all, I feel very fortunate, so it's not so bad.
Do you think
I'd recommend it.
You do? Do you think it's very good to be the son of a legend?
I mean, it's complicated, and it makes for a rich and complicated life. So, but that's, I think, part of the puzzle to figure out in my life.
More complicated for you than your sister?
I'm not sure. No, different.
Different. Do you think someday you might write about you and George? There being so much interest in you, a first-person piece. I mean, you wrote a terrific introduction, but just about you.
No.
Why? You don't think?
Well, I mean, I'd let somebody else do it. I don't know if I'd bring to an objective eye to it.
Has privacy been the toughest thing?
For me?
Yeah.
I
mean,
mean,
when you go out, people follow you, right? I mean, you don't have a normal life.
I have a pretty normal life, surprisingly. I mean, you know, every now and then sort of strange things happen. But, I mean, up until the cavalcade of publicity for George, I was a private citizen.
You weren't easily recognized on the street?
No, but people, I think, you're not in the business of really selling your personality, so I think people kind of understood that you know, sure, people would ask and stuff. People are generally nice, and it's not a crazy situation.
Your mother was a hell of an editor at Doubleday.
That's what I hear.
Would she have liked George?
I think she would have.
Because?
I think that, you know, when we first talked about the idea, she said, well, John, you're not going to do the Mad magazine of politics. and I said, well, no, and I thought that was good advice to keep in the back of my mind what a direction we wanted to go, but I think that she would have appreciated the fact that people had always said that you can't do a fun magazine about politics that combines the serious as well as the playful, which is about personalities, because that's what public life is about. And in the sense that we, I think, have flouted a lot of conventional wisdom, I think that would have appealed to her.
Because she had a good sense of humor, right?
She had a good sense of humor, and I don't think she was a slave to conventional wisdom. And I think that there's a certain irony in the whole enterprise, and I think she would have appreciated it.
She would have said, this is a cute idea, right?
I think something more than cute.
I mean, it works.
Yeah, it works. And it's I mean, you know, for me personally, it's an interesting opportunity, and one that probably is a way of engaging some of the issues that are unique to my life and doing it in a little bit different way.
Sister like it?
Yeah. But she's...
With reservations?
No, she does like it. She does like it. She's she's about to come out with a book soon.
Another one?
Yeah, a book on privacy, which actually she's very well suited to write about.
She's writing a book on privacy.
On the right to privacy.
We'll come right back with John F. Kennedy Jr.